Hey up everybody and welcome back. Right, well, big news today, of course. Some of you, I know one of you noticed because you made a comment on it. We actually passed 6,000 subscribers. So, as I've mentioned before, that was unexpected. Alright, well, as you see, I've been laying the stuff out, the last bits to go on here. But we are at an impasse in that that Mercedes valve hasn't arrived yet. I'm calling it a valve because calling it a PCV has brought up a number of comments, particularly from our resident expert, Paolo G. I've been calling it a PCV valve because that's what it's called. If I walk in the shop and ask for a PCV valve, I'll get what I want. I know a PCV valve on a car gets plumbed in to the manifold and works on manifold, vacuum and all the rest of it. All we're getting it for is because I want a one-way valve. So, alright, other people have used them, everything's fine, don't worry about it. So anyway, as I was saying, it hasn't come, and we're in one of those situations where until I put that on, I can't put the carbs on because they'll be in the way. Till I put the carbs on, I can't put the side panels on. Till I put the side panels on, I can't put the exhausts on. So today's what, Wednesday. I've sort of been waiting for it to arrive, but I've decided to come out and start. But I can do things like the footrests and the rear brake and things like that. And also, before we get started, I'm going to show you the junction box for the throttle cables, because it's been causing me some consternation. And I was actually almost going to phone up the people I got it off and say, hey, this thing doesn't work. And then, you know, one of those blinding little revelations, oh, if I did it that way. So I'm going to show you that. But anyway, thanks to all the new people who are subscribing. And I know a lot of you who started subscribing have gone back to look at earlier videos. So I hope you're all enjoying them. What else to say? Oh, I filled it up with oil. So, I think you can see under here, that blue paper towel has been there for over a week. Well, certainly for a week. Because you may remember, I cut a piece off and welded it up, and at first I had some leaks, so I had to weld again and what have you. So let's have a look. Nothing. So, that's not where it's under, that little damp bit. That's where it's under. So that's good. I couldn't see any on it when I looked. So we seem to have got that. So that's got it full of oil. Oh, and I had a couple of comments about the oil pump. Don't worry, I filled the oil pump up. After I got it bolted on, I went and filled it up through the thing. And sort of for the couple of people who mentioned about starting it up without it being full, anyway, I never start an engine until I've kicked it through and got oil up to the top. With the British bikes, because it's the feed's taken off the return, it's just a scavenge feed. If it's got to there, it means it's gone in through the pump, straight into the sump to get pumped back. Here it's slightly different. It does have its own feed up through the front, but I haven't done it yet actually because it's up in the air. But that will be kicked and kicked and kicked, you know, I mean, until I'm almost just a limp rag. But I won't start this engine till I know I've got oil through everywhere. Alright, so let's go and look at this junction box. Right, this is the one I bought. The ML ones are plastic. They actually did some chrome ones. But as I pointed out, nobody's going to see it, so why should I pay for chrome? But he mentioned he had these nice alloy ones, and they were the same price as the plastic, so I got one of these. But then I was damned if I could get it to go together. If I put the single cable in this end, you see, twin cables go in that end, and that's the connector in the middle. It's got a hole with a slot for the single cable, and then slots and holes for the twin cable. So it didn't matter which way I put it together, I didn't have enough length in the cables to get them onto this piece. I tried all ways. And as I say, in the end I was going to phone up and say, hey look, this thing's too long. So my first thought was, I'll have to shorten it a bit and rethread it so that'll screw in. And then I thought, oh no, because I'm not sure what this thread is, etc. Then I thought, well, okay, what I'll do is I'll split that. Then I can put the single cable in, push it all the way through, get all the cables on, then pull it back, pull it up far enough to slip that on and tighten it up. And then I thought even easier than that is I will drill that hole out big enough for the cable to go right through. Okay, all connected up, pull the cable out and then slip on one of these little split ferrules that you use for twist grip, where the cable goes into twist grip. But I thought about it and thought about it and I thought, no, it must work, you know. And then it was like a little puzzle. It came to me how I could do it. So I'm going to try. I'll tell you what, I'll pull you back a little bit. I'm going to try not to get my hands in the way, but this is going to be a little bit difficult. So you have to do it in stages, because you see I can screw that in at any time, but once the cables are in here, really I can't screw it in because it's got the two cables. So rather than screwing that into there, I've got to screw that onto this. So this is the procedure I came up with. I screw that in there like that, and then actually what I probably should have done is put a bit of tape on the other end, because what happens is the inner keeps slipping where you don't want it to. So that, see, just sticks out like that. Now then, what I was trying, you see, I put that on and then I didn't have room because it goes in right up to there. I couldn't get the other cables in. But then it struck me, alright, what I do now is I put the twin cables through. Again, as I said, I'm going to try and do this so I'm not in the way. One on there. One on there. Then I can just see there's enough then to slide this in like that, and that goes right into the middle, goes in there, and this gets pulled inside, and then I screw that. Actually, I think what I did to make it even easier was I screwed that end off as well. Then I screwed the tube onto the end piece. It's a lot of work, isn't it, for something. Here we go, threads. There we go. Then I screw that onto there, and then screw that back into there. Then with all those threads in, let me see, I'll pull the, let me move this up there so you can see that. And when I pull this one cable, there's the two cables going. So it's all together. Now, as it turns out, of course, you know, as always with these specials, I could have made cables, I suppose, but throttle cables are difficult to make. I couldn't quite get the length of cable I've got, but what I've found is if I take this piece off, and I've got adjusters on the two cables, I can shorten this cable. And I was thinking about, you know, how to put the little bit on the end. When I opened up the domino throttle that I'm using, inside it was a little solderless nipple, the right size. So we're good for that. But obviously we can't put these on till we put the carburetors on, and as I've just mentioned, we can't do that till we get the other thing. So let's go and put some footrests on. Footrests are going to have to wait a second, because I just thought of something which I checked. These cables came with the little top hat thing, and the carb has an adjuster in it. Now I've got adjusters on the cables, and you see the top hat won't fit in there, and in fact the top hat won't fit in there either. So I have two options. I can cut these top hats off here, which, you know, is one of those tricky little jobs that it's so easy to nick the cable or whatever, or I could just drill this out to take that, because as I say, I don't really need this adjuster. I've got an adjuster there. Now I can get tops for these. In fact, I've got a spare one over there, I just checked. So my friend Roger has these as spare parts, so I think I'm just going to drill that out to take the top hat. Alright, now we'll do the footrests. I'll just put one side on because the other side's just the same, and you remember how we made them so that that block fits inside here. Now another thing I've realised is I can't quite finish off because I don't have the spring. Now the spring is slightly strange, it actually goes inside that slot. I'm sure I have got some footrests with the springs in them, but I've got to go and search for them. But in the meantime I can just put this in and put a bolt in and we'll get them on. So that goes on there. Like thus. And let's knock it on a bit further. There we go. And there's a lock washer to go on there. Hang on a second. Right. That. And that, now they'll be tightened up because it'll probably pull the bolt through a little bit from that side. As I say, I'll just put these in loose for now because to find some springs for them. There we go. That will go on there. And I'm going to use a nylock nut on that side. Actually, that bolt could do a bit slightly longer maybe, because I want to be able to get it to lock the nut, but I don't want to tighten it up too much. So there we go, that folds up without, oh look, a little bit of yellow paint I missed. Bugger! Luckily I got a touch-up aerosol from the paint shop. So let me go and put the other one on. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do, we'll put the brake on this side as soon as we're here. I've greased the pivot bolt and for its nut, so that goes in there, that goes in there, and washer and nut. Then screwed that on a long way, see why. Some grease on this. Get some grease, there we go. Now then, that goes in there, goes in there, that one so it doesn't fall out the end. And then this goes in there like that. Now I want a washer and a little thingy for that. Hold on a second. Washer on there. Put those in there. Muck everywhere. Of course all these will get adjusted up when this is down on the floor. Right, so let me tighten that nut up and then I'll go and put the one on the other side and we're in business. Now I've put the footrest on this side and I've had a little play around with the bend of the gear change lever. And that's fine, except you can see we've got virtually no distance. Oh, excuse me. Perfect timing that, wasn't it? What was I saying? There isn't enough room to get your foot in. So, I have that one that the splines went on. So what I'm going to do is cut that off there. We'll straighten this one out a bit. And we'll lengthen it. Alright, so let's do that. Now I cut that off just at the turn and I've straightened this little bit out. So I guess we need it to be, what, something like that, you think? Get your boot under that. So we'll cut that off, we'll put a nice chamfer on to get a good weld and we'll get that welded up. Right, well that's better. Again, we'll have to see final tuning when we get to ride it. But a little bit more dressing up on that. I think you can get your foot under that. Flick it up, get your foot on top. Okay, well, what else can we do? Oh, I can put the manifold, the actual stubs on for the carbs to go on. Right, well, it's Saturday and I still haven't got this PCV thing. According to the tracking number, it's been in transit for 10 days now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the carbs on, because I can put the stubs on, they're easy enough, and the carbs just gone rubber. If I put the carbs on, we can do the cables. So I can get all that ready so that when this thing comes, we're done. And also we'll put the tank on temporarily, because again, I'm waiting for new rubbers. I had rubbers, but we used them on Jensen's bike and then I forgot to order some more. So we'll put the tank on and I'll make up the fuel lines, because I've got to put a couple of T-pieces in, because we have 2 taps and 2 carbs, so it's got to come out and go across and go to both carbs. So that's what we'll do today, and then that'll have to be it for this week, because that's as far as we can go, isn't it? Eat your biscuit. So I've put the left hand one on. Gasket said had gasket, so I've greased that face. I'll gasket on. Alright, well, I've greased the face of the stub. So let's make sure I put it on so it's pointing in the right direction. And then we've got a couple of 6mm Allen bolts, if we can find the hole. Where's that gone? Oh, there it is. Right, there's one in. Now, as I said, these aren't in the way of anything, so we can just leave these on. And the carburetor has just been on rubber stubs. They go on easily enough. Right, so we'll tighten them up, and then we'll put the carbs on and see how they are. Now I've put the carbs on and I'm starting to fiddle on to see how best to put these cables on. I think, you know, the adjuster is not in the middle. It's shorter. There's a short piece, there's a long piece. So by the looks of this, see how the adjuster's right on the curve. And of course that won't bend. So I think what I'll do is I'll take these off and turn them round so the adjuster's going to be up at the other end. So let me do that and we'll look at it again. Now then, we're going to have to rethink that, because the ends of these cables, of course, have the little top hat thing on. So I can't just turn it round because the little top hat thing won't fit in there. Pardon me. Unless we start, you know, drilling out. I don't want to make too many mods here, but I think if instead of running it through there, we run it over here. Don't forget, we're going to drill this out so the top hat fits in. I think when that goes in there, we should be about all right. But of course the next thing is, because of the length of these cables, look at that. So let me go around the other side and see if we have enough space I wish I could shorten those cables. If they had ordinary nipples on, I could. See, it would be nice to just take that piece out, leave the adjuster on the top one and move the splitter right down into there. Let me pull the cable catalogue out and see if I can get some nipples. Right now, I have a spare carb top. So I'm going to drill this out, and then what we'll do is we'll fit the cable into the throttle slide so it's all taken up on the spring with this in, and see where this goes. I don't know, can you? Yeah. That's not... See, that does fit. I am going to try and wangle that, but anyway, we'll see what this is like, because the catalogue shows some 1/8 inch or 3/16 inch ball ends to go on these, but I don't know if that would fit on this carb. So, pardon me again, let me drill this, we'll take that off, we'll look at the slide end, because as you may remember, it's a slightly odd one, it goes in and through a thing and what have you. We'll show you that, we'll do it all on the bench, and we'll fit one of these carbs up, as I say, so the cable's under tension, and see how it goes from there. So here's the somewhat fiddly mechanism for putting the throttle cable on these OKO carbs. So I've already drilled this out. It's a nice close fit in that. So then it's got to go on that spring. Oh, this is going to be a pain, because every time I catch the cable it's going to push it back through there. I'm trying to get it so you can see. Hang on, I'm going to put some tape on this to hold it. Alright, you missed a fraction. I wasn't sure whether it was going to work there. So anyway, I've got that through. Now then, that's got to go through there. So that goes into the spring. Then that goes in there, catches into that, you know what, I don't think these cables are going to work in this. Oh, bugger. Bugger. I don't know if I'm staying in shot here, but you know, I've used Amel type cables on these before. Yeah, I probably can't see anything here because of my hand. But then that slides in and holds it in. Alright, sorry about that. So now that will go into our carburetor. There's one thing always intrigued me with Amel carbs. You always have to fiddle on to get the needle to go into the needle jet. Mikunis, everybody else's. Put that the right way around, Michael. They always just go straight in. I just peeked over the top of the camera. You're not seeing any of this. So you'll just have to bear with me. That was so fiddly, I am not doing it again. Just for the sake of the camera. Sorry, people. Alright. There's one back together. Now then, can I drop you down? I know that's very strange. There you go. What I'm trying to do is to show you. Alright, so that works. Well, there it is. Fitted in. Goes in there. That thing does fit in there. And you can probably hear that going up and down. So that'll work. And hang on, not a brilliant shot, but there is that going. See, if I take this end piece off, that fits nicely into there. It's just the right length. And then, as I say, I've got a solderless type nipple that goes with this twist grip. I've just been looking at it, and there is another possible way which doesn't even need this to be cut, but I don't know whether it's stupid or not. I tell you what, I know there's going to be a lot of comments about this. There's umpteen ways I could have modified the cables and things. I'm going with this one because, as you saw, it's the minimum amount of work. But let me reroute this cable and then comment about whether you think this would work, because I think if I reroute it the way I'm thinking of, it won't need to be shortened. So let me move it. Alright, I was thinking of routing it under the yoke, which you can't see, but it wasn't long enough then. But when I looked at it, I thought to myself, you know, this isn't all that long if I just have a bigger loop. Hang on, let me pull you back so you can see this more. If I just have a bigger loop. But then, if I don't take this piece off, actually, unlike the straight pull ones, these side pull ones, this part's got to be a lot longer because it's got to go around that thing there. And there's not enough cable showing. So I'm going to have to take this off anyway, just to get enough cable here. So belay all that stuff. We're going to have to put that there like that. It's going to be fine. Alright, so let me drill the other one and we'll get this cable onto both carburetors and then we'll see about the top. So then, here's the inside of the twist grip, and actually you can just see there it comes complete with that little solderless nipple as I mentioned. Let me see if I can just get it out there. There it is, see? So, here's what I was just talking about. I've got both carbs on. Second one, it went on much easier because of course the cable was being held under tension so it didn't move. But as you can see there, look, put that in, this has got to go right round to there. So we're going to need to have that in there like that, so that that will go all the way around. So I actually need a good bit more cable than if I put that in there. As you can see, need another inch and a half, yeah, good inch and a half, almost 2 inches of cable. So I'm going to cut this end off, slide this piece off and the adjuster, and then we'll put that in there, see how far around that needs to go, cut it a little long because of course we've actually, well no, we're not going to have that, but we do have adjusters in the other end and there's no plate in the carbs at the moment. So we can cut this long and then take up the bit of slack at the carb ends. Alright, so let me pop this end off and pull these off and we'll take a look at it. So I've cut the end off. You know, that's a remarkably loose fit. I don't normally use these domino grips anymore. I use the Amel, whatever they are, T80, which are aluminium, and they actually have a screw-in adjuster. And they, instead of this being plastic, there's a little bronze bush in there. They're not much more expensive, but they're really nice. So I almost thought that I should use one of those, like you'd use in an ordinary twist grip. That is just too big. Do you know what? As you can see, there's a lot of meat. I'm going to pop that in the lathe, turn that down so it fits in and gives me, where are we? Oh dear. I forgot it had a slit in it. I didn't need to. See, that's a much better fit in that. So let me just go and do, actually I have some different sized ones of these. Let me go and check, see if I've got one that'll fit in there, or if not, I'll just turn that down a little bit. Well, we deserve a spot of luck. I do have one that fits. So we can slip that on there. Make sure that's tight into the junction box. Put that in there. That's much better. There's a rubber thing that goes on there that holds it, so it's not too bad. And that goes round there. Let's say we can cut it a little bit long. It's going to go around there like that. And the doofar goes in there. So, marker pen. Oh, of course it's miles away. Hold on. Right, now everything is in tight everywhere. There's no slack. That's where the thing goes. Wants to be about there, so I'll cut that and I'll put the little solderless nipple on. What I'll do before we finish, I think, is put some solder in it, because I never trust those solderless nipples, and then we can look at fitting the tank and the petrol taps. Alright, got that on. As I say, I'll put some solder in there before we finish, but it's Saturday. We're running out of time. So that goes in there like that. I don't think that matters which way up that goes. That goes like that. That goes in there like that. And we can take up that bit of slack on the carburetors. Oh, you're not watching, are you? What did I tell you? I said there was a rubber thing that goes on, and this, as you can see the hole here, is a bugger to get in. Particularly when you've got that there. I need a little screwdriver to push it in. Let me do that. Alright, we're back. So, what are we doing? That comes out. That goes in there. Goes around that. Goes in there. Hang on. Ah, there it is. And this goes on there, I think, like that. To there, like that. And we have two carburetors working from a side pull. Excellent. Right, let's have a look at the petrol tank. Now here's what I've got for petrol taps. I bought some new ones. I always get the ones with the lock nuts. You know, you screw that into the tank and then you screw that up and put your Doughty washer in. Because if you get like the original BSA ones and so on, which just have a fixed flange here, whenever you screw them in, the handle is always where you don't want it, so you've got to start prattling around with different thicknesses or with two fibre washers or something so it screws in further or doesn't screw in as far. So anyway, I got those, but they only had the reserve type with the tube in, and I didn't want to wait any longer, so I got them. I think they're the same price. I pulled the tubes out. They're just a press fit. They're little filters that go on them, and it looks to me from what I scraped out there that they glued in. So I want to get this done today, and then I can pull. I'm not going to put any petrol in the tank, so I can pull these back out once we know where all the tubes are going to go, and I'm going to fasten one of those into there, well, each side, so we have a little filter. Now then, as I say, we needed T-pieces because we've got to join those two, and we've got to go to two carburetors. So probably what we'll end up doing, well, come to that in a second. I wasn't sure whether I was going to need right angled ones of them or straight ones, so again, to avoid delays, I just ordered each. So what we're going to need to do is we have those coming out of the tank. So what we'll probably have is that like that. So it'll come out of the tank, go into that, go across, come out of the tank, go into that, go across, and then these will go down to two carbs, and then it's all fine. If you wanted, I suppose you could leave one side switched off as a reserve, but I always find if you do that, the fuel doesn't flow that well without that evening out of the sort of atmospheric pressure on the top, so the fluids can level out. So I'm not sure, as I say, whether we're going to need to come out under the tank like that sort of thing, in which case we might do it differently, because also we have that the carb on this side, the pipe goes on this side of the carb, so seeing as they're not handed pairs like Amels, that means that pipe is on this side of this carb. So I might do it that way, right, because that'll come out, it'll go straight to this carb. Then, yeah, I could even, you know, do that like that almost, and that will come out and go down this side of that carb, so I don't have to bend tube over the tops of the carbs. So let me go and get the petrol tank, and we'll screw these taps in, put it on the bike and see where we're going to go with the fuel lines. Right, I put the tank on and it's sitting where it will sit with the hold down bolt in. So there is the feed on that side to the carb, and of course the other one is in here. As I say, it's not on the outside for the other carb because they're not handed pairs. So I think from the look of this we'll use the straight one and go like that. Actually, see how long the straight piece is. The straight piece isn't that long, so that goes on like that. It'll have to go in a loop, won't it? If I put the angled piece on, let me get a couple of pieces of tube. I brought it in a bit closer. I'm thinking that would go in there like that. So it'll be there, and then a short piece to there, and then a piece going round behind the carbs like that. These are really big. That's my trouble with them. It would be nice if we could have had just a couple of little ones. Anyway, let me cut a couple of this tube and try that, see how it looks. Well, we're getting there. What I have done is, it struck me, where's the other one? As I was trying to put these pipes on, that I'd get it on a couple of barbs and it'd be really tight. So I thought 3 barbs would be enough. So I've cut 2 off. That's shortened it up nicely. If need be, I can always put a narrow hose clamp on there. So that's got that side done. So let's go and have a look around the other side, see how I'm going to fit that. Now I thought about putting a right angled one on the other side, but I don't really think that'll help much. So what I'm going to do is put that one in with the T sort of vertical. So that's going to go on there. So this bit will go onto there, that bit will go on the other side, and will come down off that to there. So let me cut a bit of tube and heat it up and get it on. Alright, I've got the T-piece inside there, so that goes down to this carb. And then what we're going to do now, I've put one of the right angled ones on here. We're going to go from that to that, and then we're done. I maybe should use a slightly longer piece there so that that could come up a bit. No, it should be alright. Alright, so cut a short piece here, heat the ends up and put it on. Now I know you can't see a lot in there, but anyway, there we are. 2 taps connected, 2 carbs connected. That's all done. When that's tightened down on its rubber, that'll just be nice. Okay, and I can take these off both sides, just pull the carbs off and drop them down to the bottom with their cables on. To put that thing on there, then pop them back up, stick our, where are we? Stick our manifold to the air filter on, put our side panels on, exhausts on. That is all small jobs. So next week we're going to be running, which is very handy because I think the week after I'm away for a little holiday, just a long weekend camping, so there won't be a video that week. So anyway, that's as much as we could get done. You watch, I'll go out to the post this evening and that thing will be there. But anyway, we're all sorted for this week. So you stay safe and enjoy yourselves.